Ia, whaatalo whaatwhai lau fionga le a tau sa vea ia. Me silia fwoi vato le toi fumanuia lau fionga ia
Tai.
malo fo ia le tautua pea ia so fai so o i wale mamalu le atunuu. Ia talo whatu fo i te mama tina ia o whawhengainga mwhatua o le mamalu le atunuu o whalonglonga mai le nei fiafi ia. Malo lava le soi fumanuia.
Ia, whaboe sa manuia la fwoi vai aso o tua dai atu, e maise le amatango le nei vai aso, ua ta lau lua fesila whai ai, ia e whaafongafonga ta pua i fo i le atunu, nā mai, ia ise se ngā le malulu, ia ma le whaalongo le tino ma le malosi o lo fua i le atua i le aso, ma le aso.
Ia, sa le lava la so noanga ia o le whaafitai lava i le alofa tu no o le tama. O lo tato wola i pea ma soifua manuia i pea la wafianga fo i le nei vai tau le
Tai,
malulu ia. Ia masalo toi titi ma fanfana ia na mana ia leo le alo e te whau Samoa.
nā ni e lava, pe ai, ei lava le peso, le lei malo whaatai. O le a whau peo na whaalau i lo atu le tātou telefoni a le whaletua ia Emele. Ina ia whaanga solo lava le tātou talanoanga. A o lai e te whaamawina le lei lalo. Ia lana telefoni e te wala au i ai pe amae ia le tātou polikalame. Se i toe a wifua i lunga le tātou numera na le whaletua ia Emele. Se i toe whailoa mai tasi a lau fionga le whaletua Emele.
Ia o le numera o le o lua fitu, valu tolu fitu, valu wha, valu o. O lua fitu, valu tolu fitu, valu wha, valu o.
Alo whaftai, tāsa e bai le vasiri mua lea. O le ale se senga o le mele ta o le term, e ta o le pre-approval. O le alona e se senga mai le mele ta ua fo i o le conditional approval. So we're talking about pre-approval and the difference with conditional approval.
Ia. Taua i o le tūlanga ono le iai lava se nunumi la i titi le mamalu le tunu o i ngei mai i tu ainga ese approval. So o le pre-approval, you basically e te le ialo sa ili so fale. So o le wa ave le tatou apalai le bank, so they have given you an indication and approval o le amount po le ale au whai o loo based on your current situation, on your income, your deposit, your credit history, your banking history, low employment history. So based on everything that we've submitted to the bank, they've come back with an amount saying you can buy a property within this price range. So it's basically, it's e maua se fale o e whinangalo e whaatau. So it's just an idea to give you poleale price range and whaiona ona e ngapatia. And the conditional approval generally o lona e se senga ua maua le fale te fia mana o e whaatau. Ona ave lo leo le tatou sale and purchase agreement le bank. So the bank will say, yes, we are happy for you to buy this property. But e iei fo isi ona ieinga, generally speaking, ai lalo o le lua se fulu pasene lau deposit, e mana on mia le bank se full registered valuation. And it could mean that you need to have maybe a builder's report. So o le conditional approval o maua lau fale le te mana o whaatau. But there are conditions po iei o nā ieinga e te tau o na whaamali e ina le bank o na whatu ata mua i le si tūlanga.
Malo, se le tau te le manino I o le whaamamla maina. Lono winga la, I terminologies ne ye lua, it looks like they have a time frame. Avapela le pre-approval le wa umalo na taimi. E iai se avanoa e mawhai ai e le whale tupe o na te ena la le pre-approval lea. Pe mawhai fwoi ona la tu toi whaafawina le whenga lea.
Yeah, tā ua fo I o le tūlanga. O pre-approvals, they only last some banks e ono sfulu aso pe lua masina, some banks 90 days pe tolu masina. So a o tula le umala expire lau pre-approval ai le I maua se fale te mana o whaatau. O lona winga e toi ave le tatou talosanga le bank pe mawhai ona extend aku le tatou pre-approval maybe for another 2 months. Yeah, for ila me ye to ave le bank ila usually is our pay slips, our bank statements, e toi fai for ila le credit check. So o ila le vale o lau pre-approval ma le whaatawina o lau fale e tā ua te le. Ona iei le ava noa e mawhai e le bank on decline le renewal of the tato pre-approval. O ni vaenga e mawhai e on decline is Yang ke wai alu fai so new after pay or something, you've bought something new between the last
Yeah.
pre-approval ma le renewal le, or maybe o isi time o isi tūlanga wa suilo ngalwenga. You may have moved jobs. So e mele e tā ua e tele le fasili o tātou ai le I before you actually go out, change anything, or maybe something has come up on your credit check that was not highlighted before. So we ia nei tūlanga whaapea mawhai e le bank on a toi facility. Pe mawhai e le bank on a whaapea mai, or no, we're not happy based on your current situation, but we'll reduce for i tātou I tūlawhenga luenga. So therefore your situation has changed from the original situation in avele tātou tarsanga.
Malu. I would tell you, so there's a lot of different things that could happen between the time frame of the negotiation of the first pre-approval.
Yeah.
So when do I have an unconditional approval? That'll take me e maua e a ule whaamrianga le na o le meo le whaatanga I na le whaatua o ia.
Yeah, taua fo I o left silly le ia taua ona o le unconditional o lona winga ia wa umana whaamalia I na umalava ia tūlanga ese le mana o mia mai le bank o lona winga we've now found a home wa umana avele tātou sale and purchase agreement lena saini o tau ma le agent to the bank. The bank comes back and say yes mātou te whiwhia I le whale le te mana o ai, so we are happy with that house. Whaapea fo ina mana o mia mai le bank's a builder's report and a full registered valuation o lona winga wa umana fo ina ona whaatinoina ia tūlanga. Ia wa ave fo I le bank ia wa whaamalia ina umalava ni aia inga sa iai lunga o le tātou agreement lea. So we've now moved from conditional o le wa whaamalia ina umaona aia inga ia sa iai to there's nothing remaining to be satisfied. O le si fo I tūlanga e tāua I le vālea, you must have full home insurance. Ona e tāua te lele make sure e mawhai e le insurance company ona fully insure le whale le, ona the bank has to make sure that is also satisfied.
Malo, paftai tele lava mo le whaamana moina po o lea vaenga. A whai o ustangata a first home buyer. E mawhai o nau whaataua ia se whale I lunga o mene o le whaatau tui po o ni auction. Ni mea e tatau o nau tā pena mua I hai.
O le tāua fo I o le tūlanga o le auction, yes, a whapea o is the first home buyer, e mawhai o na e alu whaatau le auction. However, we usually suggest or recommend e fo I awale whaatau le auction ona iei ona there is a risk. O le risk is mainly pe a whapea I lalo mai o le 20% le tātou deposit. If our deposit is below 20%, e mantua fo lai mana o mia le bank le na sign off mo le property ai le o le so le auction. The bank will also require a full registered valuation o le whale lea. You also require a lawyer to make sure they view or do the due diligence mo le whale lea la e alu e whaatau tuu I le auction. You also need to make sure you have your Kiwi Saver or your deposit funds ready. Wa a e alu le auction, a whape you win the auction, lona winga, you have to pay your deposit, whatever that agreement is. And you also need to make sure you have full home insurance. So o mea tūlanga o malawa yeta o na whaata atia o whaamalia ina o malawa before you go to the auction. Ai ole fautuanga ole if your deposit is less than 10%, less than 20%, e mantua foi. Auction e tele o guaranteeing a mea ole a maue oe le whale lea. So if your deposit is less than 20% and you lose at the auction, it's going to cost you another valuation, another builder's report, another solicitor's fee. So you've now just spent maybe $3,000 to $4,000 before you go to the auction. it's different pe afa pe e lua se fulu pasene o ilunga low deposit. If it's more than 20%, it's highly, most of the time, ele mana o miele banks a registered valuation, so the cost is much less. So ole tali po ole sili, that's a long-winded answer, but e mawhaiona e alu, so long as you make sure everything is being ticked off and signed off before you bid at the auction.
Olona winga e whauringa mai e tele me te tauna te tāpena i ai au le i whaia le whatau le lunga o le whatau tui po le auction a. Ala le winga le whamtalanga le bank whe mai a whapela o le la whatau lo whale, you have to have a full home insurance and with no exclusion.
Yeah. O le tāua i o le tūlanga lea ua pe lena o tāua mua ai te le ialu le auction or all conditions. E mana umia le bank to make sure e mawhai le and any insurance company na fully insure le Fale with no exclusions. Simply means e le o yeine tūlanga fo ina o le Fale le mawhai na kawaina. It will be listed on the policy. O lona winga is generally to do with maybe flooding zones. Or it could be slipping tūlanga whaapea, or it could be maybe there are other parts of the house ele o yaingi, they're not unconsented. Nei te wao mai ele insurance company e whaapea mai ele a yese tūlanga e tupu i le vaenga leo le Fale, they won't cover any claims on that. So tūlanga whaapea e te taua iona mana umia le make sure malama tātou with any policy le au mai e ia whaamaliaina o mai vaenga ia. So if any o le mele ta waile do before you go unconditional, because if you leave it till after you go unconditional, the bank can reject at that point, which is, it will be very disappointing. Wa afa peti tilo to le bank yes exclusion on your policy, they can say, well, we're not happy with that. O yeso se leni e mawhai e ona whaale leia le tūlanga le exclude my le policy, so it creates a little bit more complications.
Right. Malo, whaapte tine na wai lau whionga le whale tua, o le whonga fo o le tāpuru kalame o le malu I Fale, o le telefoni e te maua I el whale tua ia Emele Palamo, o lua fitu, valu tolu fitu, valu wha, valu o lua fitu, valu tolu fitu, valu wha, valu o, te maua le avanoa e vala awain, ia mawhaatulanga I se teimi e te lua wheilua ia I mawhaamanino atili nisi o mata upolo a fia I le nei fo I talanoanga ia ma le whasoa ia e te maua I lau malama a toa toa. Upu muri mai le lau whionga le whaletua o na tātou mawai ei lea ma le ngang whaafitai.
Ia, whaafitai tele a lau whionga le ia tau sa vea mo le nei fo I talanoanga e le nei a fiafi, ia. Pa malo fo ile malu le tunu ile vili mai lava mafsili mai ini tūlanga ese fia malama mai. Ai lava se me fili ai, ia feel free to call me on 027-837-8480. Ai vili mai te le maua mai au, it could be maybe I'm in a meeting, so feel free to leave me a message or email me on emele.palamo@loanmarket.co.nz. Ia, manuia tele ia, malolongo le fiafi, tato e whailoa I le mai aso asau.
After tele lava ia te ole whaletua, alofa tele atu foi, ia manuia ngā ruenga o tauwha mai rea, ia me se foi malolonga o le fiafi ana. Nei ta whailoa I le vai asa fau, teita ia tu ia I le soifua e le tātou tapa au sili, ai wha soifua ia mo le teme nei.
Ua.
Wha soifua. Ia le na, talanoanga e tāwalunga atuai ma le whonga o le tātou pola kalame, o le Malu I Fale, Emele Palamo, te maua I le telefoni, o lua fitu, valu tolu fitu, valu wha, valu o. Ia, o le sosoani le nā mo oe, I le teimi, o lewa e mawhauwhau, o le alu le tupe lea sa e whaapolo a mai le te le o tausanga sa ngā lue ai. O le a whatau le Fale o le ainga, ese le tāua. Tātou tālia fo I lupe o maudo, tui titi uanga I mai ia le angai o tupu ia po le matua fo I o whaiba. Upu ese le matango fie na e ave Samoa ia I la tau e iai le tāleni o le whauwhale ia po I la tau fo I e whaatau teia ngā ruenga. O wā maota malawa o le tunu, o le maota tāpuai, ia ma le lawa feta lai o Fale upolu. Ia leo wawa ia tuanga I mai lunga ia le li I kamuta o le li I foi o le matua o whaiva ma le angai o tupu le sunga ia Thomas ia o ia foi o le pule o le tātou company lau I loa the Builders Blueprint I au ki lani nei ia whatalo whatuai ma le anganga whalalo o le sunga Thomas le angai o tupu po le matua o whaiva ma lo le ngā lulue, o le se wawa ia tumasu e tuai fwoi ma numera la tau o le sunga Thomas. O luatasi, lima valu, tolu ono wha. Nia, le na.
Alofa Savea, thank you so much for having me, brother.
Hello, Monria, brother. Always a pleasure to have you share your knowledge and the lovely, exciting things that you do in the week. Malo le ngā lue. Welcome to the program once again.
Thank you, brother. It's always a pleasure to be here to obviously have a good conversation with you and share our knowledge and experience in the trade. So for Tailava Muleva Noa, thank you, Radio Samoa, as always, for giving us the opportunity to be here, and obviously for yourself, Severe, a very, very wise man on the radio. So we're very, very pleased to be here.
Malo vavtai, se le tau o te lo foi sa pisi nei vai aso. Ia, ma nisi fo ngā luenga lo whenga iai ma utou le teimile nei. A wata hua tele ia le tātou porokalambe le nei, a mese fo I le tufa ina o lo silafia e tusa ma le ngā luenga. O le fausi o se fale po o le toe fale lei o fale. Ua mala maitangata. O ia le whaingo fia, there is costing in every step of the way, from the start right to the end. Now, Eila ia cost control my vole pulenga ia fight to Malu like local council. Now, what council costs that our clients expected to pay to build a minor sitamai fale vole to atul. O ato inga tupe ia te baba ai e ono charge ai o le council.
Okay, Faftaimule Facility Severe. So this question, you can't just answer it with a blank answer, because it all depends on the project that you're working on, or what sort of project you're going to be doing. So I'll just say it in the simplest way. It could range between 5 to 15,000 or more, depending on the project that you're doing. For example, our face renovation, you're looking anywhere between 5 to 7,000 around there for council fees. And if you're doing a new house, like another minor dwelling, or Fale, then you could be paying the council fees. And then on top of that, you could be paying development contribution. So there's a lot of layers to it that can only be explained once we start looking at the process for you.
Malo. So, if building then a new sleep out, pe whapopo fo iai ma sesi whaleta ele ia ma le umukuka. How would that slightly different from the minor dwelling?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I think a lot of people always mistake the two. So a sleep out or le potu moi, it's not a minor dwelling. As soon as you add a shower or anything to that particular dwelling, then it becomes a minor dwelling. It is no longer just a sleep out. So you cannot call it a sleep out anymore. It has to be, it's a minor dwelling now. But like I mentioned before, as soon as you put another house at the back, minor dwelling, with a bathroom or kitchen, anything like that, then you're going to incur those development contribution costs that I mentioned just before. So those development contribution costs could range between, depending on the size of Fale, they will calculate it on the Auckland Council, because there's a link there that you can use as well. We give to our clients and go, you can just have a look yourself. You see how much it's going to cost you. But it could cost you anywhere between 20 to 30,000, depending ilike leo le Fale.
Ana ia tele lau whaamamna manga ia silafia, because a sleep out is just a sleep out, not a potu e moe ai. I whairo ma le kitchen, toilet, it's like self-maintained and contained unit. Then it becomes a minor dwelling. A whapena e mana o stanga ta fo lele, e le liu lana fale ta'avale ia aveo se sleep out. E taungofi atu le whai o le mea lea, nai lo o le talepe atoa tulou I lalo o le whale ta'avale atoa, ai to e whai seisi sleep out. O wheo mea ne ia taungofi.
Yeah, for time silly. So that's another good question because it all depends on what your property file says. And a lot of garages that were constructed many years ago are what we call uninhabitable spaces. Le slab, in order for us to put another house on top of it. So we need to have consultants come and check it first to see if it's okay, and also what it says on your property file as well. So the short answer is yes, it will be cheaper for us to just do it. But a lot of garages as well, the old garages, if you look at your garages, it mau lalo the ceiling. Whereas there's rules around certain heights as well for you to make it a habitable space. And also insulation properties or for example, moisture through. Remember what we talked about, I think 2-3 weeks ago, we spoke about how it is safe le slab nga mo le tamama le tinala na le moisture that comes through. Because they think okay, and a lot of people put down kapika and things like that, but it ends up causing mold underneath the kapika, and then that's why some garages you go in and it smells quite moldy, because of the moisture. So it all depends on, number one, what your property file says, and then number two, the investigation from our consultants. So we never give an answer on that straight away. We always say we'll do an investigation first, and if we can, we will, because that is much more affordable. But if it doesn't meet the building, the building code, then no. The answer is we can't do it. It'll almost be better if we just knock it down and build you a minor dwelling.
Your company trust has been it's something major that a lot of people have been trusting your company. So how long would that guarantee last?
So everyone has a guarantee that as an LBP, a licensed building practitioner under the Building Act, we have a 10-year guarantee. We have to. It's by law that we have this as a builder, but it only covers obviously structural parts of the building. It doesn't really cover, like, for example, it might sell paper from a store up the road. We can't guarantee that because we didn't buy it. If we buy those products, then we need to be able to have a workmanship guarantee from our suppliers. So most people, we have to cover 10 years, as we do, and we do as well. Is full sangan mako guarantee. Anything that we do. But we also get guarantees from our suppliers as well, and also the manufacturers as well. So that's what our guy here in the office as well, Gary, he's our main man. He makes sure that he gets all of the guarantees from all our subcontractors and also from our suppliers as well, because that's really important.
So you're pretty much covered, and also your clients are covered as well. And it's good to hear that you have a guarantee from not only for local council, but also from your suppliers.
There's also other organizations as well that have guarantees as well that you can get. Like, for example, if you want a master builder's guarantee, then that's something else that we can look into for you. That's another separate organization. They're called Master Builders. Or you can get it from New Zealand Certified Builders as well. That's another organization that offers a 10-year halo guarantee. The only thing about those companies and their guarantees is it's good for the banking system to get a builder's guarantee, but there's a lot of little fine print, terms and conditions that people don't read or understand. And then you might think, in mako master builder guarantee for 10 years. Fine print, it says it's only going to cover you for 40% of the total contract value or something like that. Like, you have to understand your guarantees, and that's why we take you through like a process, and we provide you with all the right and relevant information, so you're certain on what you're trying to do and with the.
Well explained. Now, if my home has unconsented work, how will this be rectified if we hire your company to come and do some renovations for us? And would this cost? How much would that be, in your
Yeah,
estimation?
this is a difficult question to answer because you'll need to approach another consultant that comes in and it's what is called a COA, a certificate of acceptance, and that person needs to assess to see if everything that was done before that's unconsented has been documented. And in our cases of going through this process, it almost ends up being the same cost as building it because depending on if you have the relevant, information on hand, if you got photos and things like that of the previous work done. But if you don't, then the consultant will need to do what we call a invasive investigation to see if everything is up to the building code. And that consultant could cost anywhere between 5 to 15,000 assess to make sure that it is up to the council requirements. So sometimes it's like it ends up being like, for example, I always tell people if you're going to do something, just do it right the first time because you'll pay later. And I run into a lot of our people, they always do this. They always renovate, or for example, like they turn their garages into, sleep outs and things like that. And then you go to sell the house, you have to declare it, and you might not get the value or
that added value to it.
Yeah.
Malu, while we're at it, ele whaafonga mai le tunu, i le li kamuta, le hanga yutupu, ia marimatu o whaiva, le sunga a Thomas, o lana telefoni o le olu o tasi, lima valu, tolu ona wha, toi whaafonga lumera na, olu o tasi, lima valu, tolu ono wha. Oh, well, thank you, brother, for the time spent, and also always a treasure and a pleasure too to expand my little knowledge on your your career and your building and your experience with all of this. All right, final words from you, but toi whamana tuifo le ta telefoni le nai se whalongo longo mai el tātou atunu whamolmole Thomas.
Thank you again, Radio Samoa, for the opportunity. Thank you to Emele for always organizing this for us. Thank you so much, Savia. You're always a pleasure to talk to. And I'm sure you know a lot more than you lead on as well. You're a very wise man. I know that. And so I'd like to say thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here. And God bless you, brother. And for the rest of the week,
likewise to you and your little daughter and the wife and the family, and also your company and the business that you do for our people. We are telling the Fiafi, catch up soon, po se aso fo leva ya so fasu fu ia ba ia manvia. Also ya Thomas ya mai ole li pule fo na le tato company Builders Blueprint, the Builders Blueprint here in Auckland, 0215583364. I'll tell you what. If I'm going to have somebody work on my garage or my renovation or my house or anything that I would love to add on to my house, I will definitely call Thomas on the 0215583364. Ole si me mau fai tele. Ole tele vau tele ole sunga leli kamuta. Ai e matua mautua tele mama maulu na malama. I tula fono ele ngata o le housing inspection section o le buying o le local council and their own consent and codes of practice e matua matautia la. Ai salani la ile mata ngofio le ngana Samoa o lo mfayo na fa malmalama i tatu tamama tina matua me se utowie ye tupe ya lelo fanga ese tele tau fa mai le fotuang le na fa nei e Thomas awe ke ngofu fa fia poko e ngofu fa PCC mer ko fa le baba ai di ya se man e te ngofu fa se sleep out ku e riangele le me fa pipi aku policy mile me awa A o lai le teimi e whaatau o le whale. You have to declare ma whailo mea na whaopopo o le whale. Ma lo manatu. O le a added value to the cost of your house when you sell it. But at the end, it will cost you because these are unconsented work. Tu so ngā ruenga ia whai whasoli tu la whono e tele ia apala ia se le isene e mai whi ime. Wa kau mo se me whape ngāri. Ia awa sau whao popo ia le si pou o le si piko le whale o le whalekava. Le se wawa ai i tu la whono tātou te manatu whatau waa iai. Ai le iloa. It will cost us at the end of the day. Ya, o ne ngalo, le nalo le tunu, le sunga ya. Thomas, the Builder's Blueprint, 021-558-364. All Watasi, 558 tolu ono fa.